Hi guys, today I'll be talking about what is a function, and this will be the first video of grade 12 advanced functions. And I would like to use an analogy, which is a very simple, very simple analogy, but has a very great explanatory scope. And this is an analogy of a vending machine. Now, in a vending machine, you usually have a pad on the vending machine, and you have numbers or letters on it, and then you press those letters and numbers, and these letters and numbers correspond to a product, right? And whenever you input those letters or numbers on the pad, you get an output of a certain product, given that you paid the money. So, for example, say you press 1, you get Coke. You press 2, you get Pepsi. You press 3, you get a honey Kriller. Now this vending machine is a functioning vending machine because whenever you input a number, you get an output of a certain product. For example, you input 1, you get Coke, 2, you get Pepsi, and so on and so forth. Now what if when you press 3, you also get water? Now you'll press 3 and you want a honey Kriller, but you get water instead, or you want water and you get honey Kriller instead. It's probabilistic. So this vending machine is not functioning because for each input you put in, you don't get a specific output. So this vending machine is not functioning. Now, as you guys might have already guessed, the definition of a function is basically whenever you input something, you get one output. That is to say, whenever you input an x value, you get, or you will get, one y value that corresponds to that x value. Now the book will define a function as a relation which has a unique output for an input. Now, for a definition, for you to understand a definition properly and holistically, you have to understand every single term and every single word used in that definition. So what is a relation? A relation is basically a set of ordered pairs. Now some relations will be a function and some relations are not a function. So a function is kind of a subcategory of a relation. So I'm going to cut straight to the chase. I'm going to give two relations. One will be a function and one will not, and we'll try to really apply what we have learned right now to see which one is a function and which one is not. So I'll give us 3 points: 0, 1, 1, 2, and 1, 3. And the second relation will be 0, 1, 1, 2, and 2, 3. Now you guys might be wondering, what is this symbol? What does this symbol represent? And this symbol simply represents a set. So now let's keep the analogy in mind. We have, for the vending machine to be functioning, we must have one output for each input, right? So we know that for each x value must have one y value, which would mean that each set of coordinates, so each set of coordinates, right, would have a different x value, right? So let's look at the x values. We see 0, we see 1, and we see 1. Now, this is not a function. Why? Because whenever you plug in 1, you can either get 2 or you can either get 3. So this is not a function. Now, let's look at the second relation. Let's look at the x terms, 0, 1, and 2. All of the x terms are unique because when you plug in 0, input 0, you get 1. Whenever you input 1, you get 2. Whenever you input 2, you get 3. Let's get that out of here. So this would be a function. Now we're going to go to vertical line tests, which is a very simple concept. Let's change the color. So if you see a graph, how can we tell just by looking at a graph that it is a function or whether it's not a function? There is a simple test, because remember, we must have one y value for each x value. So if you can draw a vertical line straight through the graph and touch two or more points, then that graph is not a function. So let's look at something very simple. Let's look at a circle, right? So if we conduct a vertical line test of this circle, we will see that it touches 2 points, which will mean that this is not a function. And we can verify this using the equation of the circle. So we'll say that this point is 3, this point is -3, this point is -3, and this point is 3. The equation of a circle is x squared plus y squared plus the radius squared, and the radius is the distance from the center to the side. I know that the circle looks lopsided, but let's just imagine that this is a proper circle. From the middle to the outside is 3, so the 3 squared, or the radius squared, is 9. So we're going to plug in 2, and we're going to input 2 and see if we get more than one output. So 2 squared plus y squared is equal to 9. So y squared is equal to 9 minus 2 squared, which is 4. Y squared is equal to 5. So y is equal to the positive square root of 5 and the negative square root of 5. Now why is that? We have two solutions now, which we see that whenever we input 2, we get 2 outputs, which means that this is definitely not a function. So why do we have positive square root of 5 and negative square root of 5? When we look, for example, at 25, right? 5 times 5, right, is 25. But -5 times -5 is also 25. So we know that whenever we get the square root of 25, we have two solutions, positive 5 and negative 5. So in this video, we analyzed what is a function through looking at the analogy of a vending machine and defining a function, looking at what a relation is and how to look at a set of ordered points and see instantly whether it's a function or not, and applying the vertical line test and rationalizing the vertical line test. If you have any questions, please post in the comments below. Thank you very much.